Uh,
Okay, we're ready.
I didn't put a. Would you? And is the address as fine as I am?
Don't worry, you're perfectly well in your.
It's quite hot in our office. Should we see everybody? Yeah, there's a few people joining.
Having a bit of a challenge with my computer here. We're having some tech issues, T.
We starting in a few seconds. Yeah, it's a YouTube live thing that having a little bit difficulty.
Okay, so it's on you. People are linking in on YouTube Live as well, because on the yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but we're recording it.
Yeah.
Reloaded. Right, go for it. Go.
Here we go.
Hi there, I hope you're all well. Thanks for joining Sharing Global Views. It's a show we share thoughts and ideas with professionals and leaders globally. The show is also part of our Sharing Economy initiative, aiming to make the world better. And here we have some of the data relating to sharing economy I want to share. According to Credit Suisse, 28% of users around the world are willing to share their electronics. 23% are ready to share their power tools, and 21% are ready to share their cars. 26% enjoy sharing economy services. Any more exciting statistics too?
Yeah, thank you, Helena. I also find something is quite fascinating. Well, sharing economy is set to reach 335 billion by 2025. That's a source from PwC. We were starting a lot from car sharing market, but the value is actually set to reach 14.8 billion by 2025. And there's just a few more that we can mention. So I'm really thankful that been the whole year that we've been running this show. Now we really have another very good guest, which President will introduce later, that would come back to sharing economy. Now, despite again that we having this sharing program, really just trying to share the view around the globe, from global leaders, from business people, even from professors, and sometimes that we have some very specific views, people to share their ideas. So it's really about for audience to ask your questions and see the world in the different perspectives. So before I really, dig down further and we can go on the interview, I really want to introduce our main host of every time, Paris, who is the former president of Costa Rica and also the standing chairman of the 𝐒𝐤𝐞𝐫. How are you, President?
Doing very well, T. Thank you so much. And thank you, Elena, for the introduction. Indeed, for the sharing is growing leaps and bounds, as Elena and T has mentioned, with more persons around the world understanding the very fundamentals, the very positive of a sharing economy in a world where population continues to increase, thank God, but the sources and the resources of the planet are limited. And therefore, the sharing economy becomes a great way to continue to create jobs, new opportunities for entrepreneurs, new business models, and investments that lead to growth and well-being around the world. This series of conversations, which we have called Sharing Global Views, is brought to you by 𝐒𝐤𝐻, the Global Alliance for the Sharing Economy, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization aim of sharing the ethos, the concept, and happening on our planet with respect to the economy. Over the past months, we have shared different perspectives and we have brought to light very constructive and positive examples of a sharing economy in health, in education, with respect to the environment, in the use of technology or transportation. We have even had programs on where we have brought to you the sharing economy opportunities in the world of art, something that we would have never perhaps thought of. special occasions, we have leaders who are actually getting things ground and are pushing the limits of a sharing economy. Today is such a day. We bring you Richard Burton. Richard is a Franco-British national living out of Paris, but working globally with a varied career in defense electronics, cable TV, computing, information services, stock exchanges, trade credit, and political risk insurance. From 2016 to 2019, he set up and ran his own advisory business to help young technology-related companies with their developments and to raise funds as part of an active M&A between Europe and China as senior advisor in a boutique advisory firm in Hong Kong. He is a former chairman of the European and French Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong, and he joined TOJOY, Western Europe CEO for EMEA as well in September of 2019. Richard, welcome. Thank you for taking time out from your busy work agenda to join us on this conversation.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, Richard, we would like to highlight your career, your path record, what has brought you to a sharing economy. Perhaps you would like to share with us all the way from your beginning as an MBA student, what captivated you about the sharing economy? What put you on this course?
Well, thank you very much. And once again, thank you for this invitation. I'm delighted to be here. I know I've been preceded by many illustrious speakers, so I will try to be at the same level, though that will be difficult to reach. But yes, I've been, I think, very lucky in my career. I've been often at the forefront of technology, as I was in defense electronics or in the cable TV development, which was a startup in the UK, in computing. I've had a very international career with the stock exchange and with COFAS, where I was in Asia for 16 years, but also in Latin America. I spent a considerable amount of time in Brazil and, of course, in Europe. And I've also been exposed to new products and new markets, geographic and technological. And as you said in your very kind introduction, President, I was chairman of associations. And I think it's, in a way, this association experience, which has given me the most interesting, let's say, takes on the sharing economy. I particularly am approaching this with when in thinking about this from this perspective of sharing knowledge, sharing between people who know how to, and people who want to know how to, if you see what I mean. So, and my experience has been very, I think, in numerous situations, very interesting. So, yeah, I mean, you mentioned, in fact, one of the early experiences, please.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the early experiences. You were right out of the school, practically. You went to Estonia. Estonia was just coming out of the era of the Soviet Union. And you were very much involved in setting up a bank there. And I understand you have a great story about the first day the bank opened.
Well, yeah. I mean, the origins of this, in fact, why I was in Estonia in the first place was I was a member in London of a network called the Junior Chamber of Commerce, Junior Chamber International, which is a vast network in 100 countries of 200,000 young people trying to make change. And we'd been approached by the Estonians who, as you said, were coming out of the Soviet era, to come and help them set up a junior chamber, right? So we went, we had a mission there, and and I became very close to one of the people who was there, and subsequently, when I was, at that time, Estonia was still in the Soviet Union, but subsequently, and when I came to the end of my MBA studies, Estonia was coming out of the Soviet Union, was already out and independent, and was looking to develop its economy. So they asked me to go and help them set up a bank, all right, set up an investment bank, all right, to fund the entrepreneurs, all right, who so I went, and it was let's put it this way, a very interesting experience, because for numerous reasons. I was getting offered to buy arms and tanks and things like this from the former, but that aside, this bank was really interesting. And I had just come out of business school, right? So I knew everything about discounted cash flows, about numbers, about how to build models for analyzing. So I taught them all that, or put all that together and made a model. Now, I was very happy with that, and I think they were happy with it. But just the story is effectively the day the bank opened, right? We're not a branch bank, or anything. We were on the 10th story of the tallest building in Tallinn at the time. And the day, and obviously word had got around. And this project, by the way, was assisted by the International Finance Corporation. But by the time, when we came for the day we were supposed to officially open, right? When we came in at 9 o'clock in the morning, there was a queue of, they were all clutching their business plan like this, right? Standing in the stairwell, trying to come and present their projects to us. So it was an amazing story. We were, we had to walk up, because the lifts weren't working. We had to walk up these 10 stories, past all these entrepreneurs saying, "You read my business plan, read my," and of course, subsequently, the bank did take off. The bank was able to fund numerous companies in Estonia. And any reader of this will know that Estonia nowadays is a world leader, in fact, in digitalization of its government, of its economy, and it's produced in the sharing economy some of the global leaders. Skype is one example. TransferWise, which is an extremely effective way for people to transfer money from one side of the world to another. So that's facilitating entrepreneurs, or people in Europe to send money back to their homeland and hopefully fund future entrepreneurs. And of course, of course, all of that is thanks to me. No, I'm kidding. It's not. But it was a very enriching experience, and to see how the enthusiasm of people, to these entrepreneurs, to learn from and to liberate that entrepreneurial energy.
Yeah, what a fascinating story. I mean, being at the birth of Skype and huge global companies.
I can't say it was at the birth of Skype, but the country subsequently generated these things.
Yes. But what I'm talking about is the whole experience of setting up an investment bank in Estonia that then went on to help companies like Skype and others move forward. You've also shared in the past some conversations about how you, when you were the chairman of the French Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong, the other side of the world, how you were trying to get companies to help small companies and kind of the ecosystem that you put together for this to happen. I think that is very relevant in the world of today, especially coming out of this crisis, for larger companies to play a role in helping young entrepreneurs that are just getting off their feet. Share that experience with us, and what, in your perspective, Richard, what made that successful?
Well, thank you. Again, that was a very interesting and enriching experience for me personally. I took over as a chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, and of course, like a lot of incoming chairmen, you want to know what your members think, so you go and talk to all the members. You really send out inquiry, but what I heard coming back from the SMEs and the small companies and the young companies was that the chamber is only for the big companies, right? You're doing nothing for the small companies. We're paying our subscription, but there's nothing for us. And I dug in a little bit more, and I effectively identified that what they were looking for was to be able to do, understand and do more business, of course, with the bigger companies. So first of all, it was I set up an exchange forum, right, with successful entrepreneurs who would come and share their experience with the younger entrepreneurs who were just starting out. What did they do? How did they succeed? I mean, it was in Hong Kong, right? And Hong Kong is the most dynamic, one of the most dynamic economies in the world. So you still have to work hard to succeed. It's not falling off a log. It's really this. But then I also said, well, what we've got to do is to get the bigger companies to work together with the smaller companies. They're the guys that got the money. They're the guys placing the orders and so forth. So we first of all did a few sessions with companies so the purchasing manager in the big company would come and explain how they buy, how they operate, and how to approach them. And then we set up subsequently a forum, a fair, right, where the big companies would be there. They'd have a desk and be waiting for and the small companies would come and pitch to them, right, and say, this is what I can do for you. In the first year we had like 10 companies, okay, so, and you could fit it in a small meeting room. The next year we had 30, and the final year, the following year, the third year that we were doing it, and it's carried on for years after that, there were like 60. We had to turn people away, and there was real business going through, and so the important thing that I think I learned from this was that what chambers of commerce are there for all the members, right? You need to, in your idea, share, get members to work together as much as possible, so in their common interest. And that big companies, particularly because they're the big, they have a lot of money, right? So they're not there just to be symbolically have their logo up. They've got to really participate. And so this was, I think, a very, again, more about sharing experience and sharing with the entrepreneurs how to develop their business. And I think, looking back, it was a successful initiative.
Thank you so much for sharing. Richard, at the core of the sharing economy, of course, is the emergence of new opportunities, new concepts, new business models that entrepreneurs are coming up with. And very much to that point, and making them successful, is the role that angel investors play. You have been an angel investor yourself. How do you see that business of, if I may call it a business, how do you see that business of angel investments or angel investors today? How has that ecosystem changed over time, and what do you see in its future?
Yes, I've had the good fortune to be an angel investor, and unfortunately, I'm not yet able to retire by having made an absolute fortune, but hopefully that will not be too far away. But no, I mean, me personally, meeting entrepreneurs is really what motivates me and what makes me want to get up every day. As a business angel, I put in relatively small amounts of money, but the most rewarding part for me is about exchanging with the entrepreneur. It's about exchanging with other angel investors as well. It's not always easy because in angel investors, we tend to invest in startups, of course, or we do invest in startups. And it's not always very easy to convince an entrepreneur that he might be going down the wrong track, by sharing your knowledge. And I think the biggest role an angel investor can play, and the most important role, is effectively to be a sounding board, right, for the entrepreneur, for him to me as an angel investor, I think that you're not there to tell the entrepreneur what to do, because otherwise, you don't need the entrepreneur, right? You do it yourself. So the most important role you play is to be a sounding board with the from the entrepreneurs. I've got, I'm thinking this. What do you think? And it's by the way you question and in a way respond to that the entrepreneur comes to his own decision. At the end of the day, an entrepreneur, as an investor, I'm investing in a person. I'm investing in his or their capability or her capability in some cases to bring about a successful development of the company. Of course, the crisis we've just been through has been a very intensive one, and again, we talk about sharing, and the one thing that that's been very apparent during this crisis is that a number of entrepreneurs have come through it very successfully because they've been able to rely on their advisors, their board, their angel investors to help them guide through this very deep crisis. So I can't really say, because I haven't been an angel investor for so long, whether there's been a significant change. But I think nowadays my own experience is that the angel investors that are there are more interested in, are not just there for the money. Right? If you're there just for the money, then you're not a good angel investor.
Yeah.
You're there to really share in your knowledge with the entrepreneurs and help them build a successful business.
So please expand that. Please expand that concept that you just mentioned, that it's not just all about the money. Because indeed, when you look at the sharing economy, I would say that there is a philosophy or an ethos with respect to it of a more educated or a more conscious consumer that doesn't want to own everything, but that is willing to share it or when he needs it. And there's this whole idea that through the sharing, more than an idea, reality, that the sharing economy, we can help the planet. Expand on that, please.
Well, from my perspective, yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers, by the way, which were given at the beginning of the session, are very impressive, right? These are huge numbers of people, and I think that in itself speaks to this desire by people to be less owners of things and use things only when they need them. So people be more conscious. Yes, there's a cost in it. There's cost behind that. But there is also a consciousness, I think, that you don't need to have everything yourself, right? You don't need a car, right? I think this is a generally accepted statistic. For 95% of the time you own a car, right? You're not driving it, right? You're at work, you're asleep, you're in school, and it's parked somewhere, right? So why not? Why do you need to have it, right? You just need to have it because you wanted it, right? But you don't need it. What you need is to get from A to B, right? And I have to admit that for a very long time, I didn't. When I came back from Asia to Paris, I didn't have a car. When we needed to travel, we rented a car. And if we needed a bigger car, we rented a bigger car. If we needed just a small weekend car, we rented a small weekend car. And nowadays you can do that with your neighbor, right? You can borrow the neighbor's car if he's got a big van and you want to move something. So all of that, this I quite like this. I read it. I think it was in a report that I read, but I can't remember which firm made it. I think it was EY. They said, I don't need a drill, I need a hole in my wall, right? I don't need a drill, I need a hole in my wall. And that's very true, right? You don't need a car, you need to go from A to B. And the impact on that is actually, I don't know if it's been measured in a let's say a scientific way, but the fact of the matter is that there will be fewer cars on the road. There will be fewer and therefore lower pollution. I've heard of some let's say ride sharing or car sharing apps, for example, that encourage you to share or have electric vehicles, for example. And electric vehicles are much more, of course, friendly to the environment. But I mean, the debate is out on how the whole cycle, whether or not, but I'm generally the opinion that they are. And so all of this it encourages sharing. And sorry, just to conclude on a few other remarks is that the big companies like Airbnb, what are the other ones? Uber and these people. They've raised billions, right? Tens of billions of dollars or whatever, but they're still losing money. So people are saying, well, is there a profitable business model to some of this? But when you take everything together, I think it's a positive for the world and for the consumers, and ultimately they will find profitable business models.
Richard, thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I rambled a bit, and I'm sorry about that, but I hope I was.
I loved your expression. I don't need a drill. I need a hole in the wall. It
came from the EY report, I think, but I love it too. Yeah.
It describes the sharing economy so very well. I'll come back to you for some closing remarks in a couple of minutes, Richard, but I want to go to T and Elena. T and Elena, do we have any questions coming up from the audience, our friends?
Yes, we do. Yeah. Oh, Helena, sorry. Please.
Yeah, actually, we have one. Richard, one is how to value share-based company from your perspective.
Value a what?
Sharing-based company.
A sharing-based company. How to value a sharing-based company? You mean from a financial perspective? I'm not really an expert in that in itself, but there are indications of the number. For example, the number, if it's something like Uber or Airbnb, the number of active users is often a measure used to judge the value, and therefore the number of active users and the amount of money, let's put it prosaically. Sorry, I'll turn that off.
It must be your neighbor that wants to share something.
He's trying to tell me a drill.
Yeah.
He's asking for his drill back. In fact, he's asking for his drill back.
He needs a hole in his wall.
Yeah. So I think there are a number of measures, but I think one of the more generally accepted approaches is to look at the number of active users, the number of spend, but also the number of, for example, car sharing apps would be looking at the number of cars they have access to and the geographic spread of those. I think that they are typical ways of judging those kinds of companies in terms of their value. And of course, then there's what in venture capital terms is the total addressable market, right? Well, how much is the market in which they're trying to sell into worth? And then there are other things which you say, well, okay, what other, right, today, again, I use the example of Airbnb because it's a fairly, they sell rooms, right? And they're compared to hotels, but they can also sell, other things to the guests that come onto their platform, like, tour guides and museum visits and things like this. So the total value of the company can be judged on the users, on the revenues that they have, on the addressable market, and on the other markets into which they can possibly sell.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Richard. T?
Yeah, thank you, President. Hi, Richard. I actually collect a question actually come in two parts, but I will ask the first part first. So we're interested based on your experience. Now, if you would give, one advice to the small medium enterprises before they going to expand their business cross borders, say between Europe and Asia, where you have lots of experience. Now, what would you advise them to help them to reduce their chance of failure?
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't catch the last part of the question.
How would you help them to reduce their failure rate?
Yeah.
For
reduce
Europe,
the risk-
companies
reduce the
going
risk of
from
failure.
Europe to Asia, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's I think it's one, and this is a little bit, and I didn't say this earlier, but I say now, of course, I'm now CEO for TOJOY in Europe. So one of our missions is to help companies go to China, go to Asia, in China particularly. And so, well, we need to be very, you have to have very clear objectives, very clear what it is you're trying to do. Do the research beforehand and be convinced that it's the right thing for your company, right? If you're not convinced about that, or if you're only going half-heartedly, it will logically mean that you reduce the risks of success. So know your market, know why you're going, and then the choice of partner is critical, right? What do you want to do? What are you looking for in a partner? There has to be how can you say the compatibility between you and your partner, because going into a market, China or any market that is a long way away and you don't know very well, you're going to need local support and local partner, and so that is critical to do, even if you've got lots of money, right? But it's not the solution, right? The solution is to know where you're going, know why you're going, and have the resources to dedicate to the project, but also to spend the time and to find somebody who can help you find the right partner.
Yeah, thank you so much. There's also a second element to this question. Now, and we know that from the old days to now that the platform economy, sharing economy is really booming. Now, if you gave advice based on what we have in these days with all the internet, platform economy, and sharing economy, would you have some additional, advice adding on top of that for them?
For the sharing economy, you mean for how the sharing economy can develop?
Yeah, how those SME, when they trying to expand their business from one region to the other,
Yep.
is there anything else addition from what you just said can help?
Yeah, well, it's a good follow-up question, because obviously nowadays you have the things that I mentioned, but also you have access to significant online tools, significant platforms which can help you reach very effectively a much wider audience more quickly. TOJOY is one of those, right? So we are definitely, you've got to know and understand how they work and how they can help you. So those platforms are very important.
Richard, we're coming up against the hour here. I'm sorry for cutting in T and Elena, but we're coming up against the hour here. Richard, today you are the CEO of TOJOY for EMEA and Western Europe. TOJOY being a global player, probably the foremost global company today, dealing in the sharing economy and very successfully promoting unicorn companies around the world. How does that bring everything that we have been talking about together? How does TOJOY do that? What's the magic sauce?
Well, TOJOY is a company which has been built up and grown over 30 years, right? And within that, it's built this very, very powerful platform, on the one hand of entrepreneurs and investors, and on the other hand of the ability to identify and dialogue with entrepreneurs. So, you know, and that's, I think, its secret is the ability to bring those two parties together in a way that makes sense for them both, and of course for TOJOY, but the way it makes sense for both of those parties to enable them to build a successful partnership and develop business successfully. So in a way, you know, I joined TOJOY because within TOJOY I found a lot of echoes for what I'd been experiencing in my career to date. Right? So that platform is a really powerful, but the platform is without the people as well, right? The people within TOJOY who have got this knowledge of the entrepreneurs and their needs and what they're looking for, and on the other side, the people who are astute and understand, you know, the businesses they're discussing, they're talking to. That is the key. So the people, the platform, and the ability, the success. You know, TOJOY has accelerated 300 or so projects, and so that knowledge and success is unique.
Well, Richard, thank you so much on behalf of Elena, T, Godfrey, myself, our audience. Thank you so much for having joined us on this Global and Sharing Views conversation and sharing your perspectives, and even more than your perspectives, your experience in having worked in different bits and ends on different parts of the planet, pulling together the sharing economy. We look forward to having you back on these conversations, and thank you for your time and for your work. And friends, thank you for joining us in this conversation of Sharing Global Views. In a couple of weeks, we will come back to you with another very interesting presentation on something that we are all beginning to share, which is outer space. We will have a stellar presentation on the space sharing experience economy. Thank you so much, and have a great day or evening. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.